And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey everybody, I'm Tom Vasel, and today we're taking a look at Commands and Colors Samurai Battles. Commands and Colors is a system of games designed by Richard Borg. He first started out on the American Civil War, then Memoir 44, then Commands and Colors Ancients, Napoleonics. There are, I think, 8 different games in the system. This is the newest one. This one is from GMT Games, who did Commands and Colors Ancients, and in fact this looks a lot like Commands and Colors Ancients. So this is, in many ways, if you played one Command and Color game, you've played them all. They're all very, very similar. This has some differences, but this one is actually closest to Battle Lore. Not the new Battle Lore 2nd edition, but the original Battle Lore that Richard Borg did, which had a magic system. Now, there's no magic in ancient Japan, so instead they changed it to honor and glory, or honor and fortune, and that's added into this game. Does it work? Let's find out. You're going to play a scenario in this game from the scenario book, and there are 40 different scenarios, and you'll pick one of these scenarios. It tells you what the battle is. It shows you where to set everything up. You see there's a board here with terrain that you'll put out. It shows you where the different armies are, and you're going to put out a certain number of units based on what kind of unit it is. This tells you the historical background. It tells you what you start with. You're going to start with command cards, dragon cards, and honor and fortune tokens, and then it will tell you who goes first, and then how you win, and if there's any special rules. On a player's turn, they are going to play one command card. Players are going to start with a handful of command cards, and these command cards are going to tell you what units you can move. Most of the command cards will tell you order one unit in the center, or 3 units in the right, or 2 in 1, or 2 in 2, or 2 on each side, or 2 from one side, or as many as command cards you have. There's also special cards that give you special directions and tell you who you can issue a command to. When you're doing one of the sides, you'll see there is a dotted line here. So if I, for example, can command a unit on the left, I could do this one, or I could do this one since it's in both the left and the center. If I do the center, this one can also be moved. And when I'm done moving somebody, they could end up in a different section. So you're going to play the command card, you're then going to move, and then if possible, attack with the units you moved. Every unit in the game has a certain amount of hexes that they can move. Some of them have a range of how far they can shoot. And then it talks about how many dice they'll roll in combat. And there's other special rules that they may have in effect to them. And so this is a lot of rules here, but it gets pretty simple because you're usually only using a few units per battle. So you just need to remember the rules for that, and you have this reference guide. When attacking an enemy, whether it's ranged or close combat, you'll roll a certain number of dice, and then you're looking for symbols. Usually you're trying to roll the symbol of the unit that you are attacking. So you'll see there's a red square. This shows red squares on that symbol. So you'll attack them, while swords can hit people depending on if you are stronger than the unit. Swords are kind of like a wild hit, but it's also a way that a weaker unit can't. It's harder for them to hit a stronger unit. So for example, this red cavalry unit, the red squares, are much stronger than these bowmen here with green circles, so their swords would count against them while it does not work in reverse. And then there are flags which can cause an enemy to retreat. Now there's a lot of rules about retreating. You can ignore flags. If there's a leader with the unit, you can ignore flags. If units are supported by a few other units, so if I had like a unit here supporting 2 units supporting you, then you can ignore flags for retreating. Retreating is bad because it makes you move backwards towards your side of the board, and you lose some honor and fortune tokens, which we'll talk about in just a second. But as you hit the enemy, you'll remove a block for each hit that you get. Now in hand-to-hand combat, they'll have a chance to hit back if they haven't retreated, and they might kill some of you. And if all the people in your unit are killed, and there's just a leader left, you'll make a check to kill that leader. Now realize at this point, folks, that I'm giving you a very quick summary of how the game works. There's a lot of different rules for attacking and defending, but that's a basic idea. The number of dice, like I said, depend on which units you're using, but also different types of terrain can cause people to attack you with fewer dice or cause you to attack with fewer. You might have a better range if you're on top of a hill, for example, when attacking people. And so you're going to take all that into account, and then so you're going to play the command card. You're going to move your units that are activated, attack with each of them, and then go on. During the game, when you attack people, you may roll this symbol here, which is honor and fortune, and you'll get tokens to join the tokens you got at the beginning of the game. Not to mention at the end of every turn, you can take 2 more honor and fortune tokens or draw dragon cards. Dragon cards, there's all sorts of dragon cards in this game, and they all have different costs. You'll spend honor and fortune tokens to play these cards. So, for example, I can play this with my command card and target a discarded dragon card. I can pick one that's already been discarded. I can play it, but it costs me 2 of those tokens. I can play a head collector. I pick someone with a leader, and they'll get 2 honor and fortune for each enemy block eliminated. In addition, each honor and fortune normally. Here, I can pick someone attacking me, and they roll a maximum of 2 dice instead of maybe more. Here, all my units can move an extra one, move as the wind. And there's all sorts of dragon cards that have different costs. The higher the cost, obviously, the better the card is. So players have to decide when to best play these dragon cards. So you'll be playing these dragon cards and spending these. You also lose these tokens when you retreat, and if you don't have any when you retreat, then you'll start losing units or figures, blocks from your unit for each one that you can't spend. So you need to keep some on board in case you need to retreat. And that's pretty much it. You're most of the time going to get a command token when you completely eliminate an enemy's unit, or if you hold different spots on the board. You're doing so again with these command cards, which you'll play one, draw one, and you also with these dragon cards, which are extra cards that you can play. And you just got to outmaneuver the other person and win the battle. There's a whole lot more, different things going on between terrain and how different units work. But that's hopefully a basic enough overview for you to understand how this game works. All right, look at this. See all these blocks? They all had to be stickered. The game comes with tons of sticker sheets. These are extra stickers, which I appreciate, but this is tons of work. Now, when I was showing them there on the board, they were laying down. They're technically supposed to stand up so you can see them on one side and your opponent on the other. I like them laying down because they keep falling down when I play with them. I don't mind the quality for this. The board, very bland. The blocks on the board, it's a colorful thing. The dice are better quality than Command and Color dice have been in the past. They've improved that. The cards are okay. They don't use a lot of art on them. They're just very functional cards. And there are 2 things. There's a rule book and the scenario book. Scenario book, amazing. 40 scenarios, tells you terrain stuff on the back. Love it. The rule book, my word. They took a simple game and made it sound way more complicated. Some people like rules written like this. Blah, 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 blah. I would rather pictures and things like that. But other than that, I'm pretty happy with this. This is kind of the component quality. The board itself is mounted. Way back in the day, folks, there was not a mounted board to play Commands and Colors. So, yeah, it's good enough for what the game is. There you have it. I like the Commands and Colors series as a whole. I don't think there's any of the main games from Commands and Colors that I don't like. I think my favorite is the new Battle Lore 2nd Edition, but I like Commands and Colors Ancients. I like Memoir 44, and I like the game I said this is very similar to, the original Battle Lore. This one fits right in there. I don't know a lot of the history of feudal Japan. This is definitely an area where I'm lacking in the information. So when I read about these battles, and I always like reading about them, I don't know much about that. So I like that I'm learning here. I found that if there's one thing I found slightly confusing, the units all look a little similar. The little icons that they drew, they have those little circles and triangles, but sometimes the triangle or the circle is the same, but they're 2 different units, and at a glance, sometimes I just got them confused. So I might complain about that a bit, but other than that, I'm a big fan of this. I guess the other complaint would be it's a little generic looking on the table and the stickering. But I enjoyed this a lot. I think it's a really solid game, and I really like that. I'm going to call it the magic system, but using the dragon cards and keeping enough tokens and losing tokens when you retreat. In this game, retreating is a terrible thing. You don't want to retreat, which makes sense. That makes sense thematically. And this, to me, is almost an extension of Commands and Colors Ancients. It looks like it. But the dragon cards and using them, and at the end of your turn, deciding whether you want more tokens or whether you want to draw another dragon card and knowing the best time to use the dragon cards. It's fun. It's kind of devastating when your opponent plays a card and then does this nasty dragon card on top of it, and you're like, wah! But I found this game to be entirely fun. Now realize, I'm a big fan of this line in general. Some people aren't. Some people don't want to play with stickered blocks. Some people just think this system's too lucky, like, oh, I didn't get any cards to tackle my left flank. But I don't have that. I don't know. It's light enough for me that I enjoy it a lot, but it's heavy enough that I think it portrays a battle very accurately. This has a lot of things, like I said, from Commands and Colors Ancients. The power of leaders, the importance of having a cohesive unit. So it's almost the same as Command and Colors Ancients, but just with this honor and fortune system added to it. And that works, to me, fantastically. Also, I'm very impressed. 40 scenarios for you to play through. This is a great value. So if you like Command and Color system, you're already going to like this game. But if you've never played a game like this before, this one is, the rulebook's going to be a bit of a bear to get through. I don't think it could have been written a whole lot more easily for people who are new to the system. I almost feel like this game isn't even written for that, but it's not difficult. Push past that, and you'll find yourself playing a really fun war game that simulates a battle of history that's not covered in war games that much, and does so in a very fun and unique way. I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. See you next time. Dice Tower Judgment, excellent.